Hi, this is Evan at Enlightened Workshops. Is it too arrogant to admit that you sometimes quote yourself? There's a couple of quotes that I have of mine that that I really like. I can only remember one of them right now. My favorite quote, the thing I quote from myself most often is, "Your next spiritual awakening starts as a problem, maybe even an explosion." The way most people live is they don't spend much time tuning into themselves because they're so busy trying to be happy all the time. In other words, they have this goal of happiness and they're focused on it, and they're trying to move toward that. And a big part of that is avoiding any of the negative feelings that arise that are in conflict with that goal. And so it tends to look a lot like repression. I'm over here trying to get happy, and the sadness shows up. And that is seen as an obstacle to my happiness. It's an interference. And so then I have to get rid of that. And the way that I normally do that is I either try to fix it. The mind, the ego, loves to try to fix a problem. That's what it's designed to do. The ego is a problem solver. It says, oh, this threatens my happiness. I'm going to fix that. So I'm going to call Sharon on the phone. I'm going to tell her to F off, or whoever it is, right? Or I'm going to say, stop doing that, or whatever it is that I'm going to try to do to change that behavior to make myself feel okay and get back to my goal of being happy. We're obsessed with happiness. Have to have it. Which is strange, because happiness is what it's all about, but the big irony is we're trying to follow this small ego, which is mired in deep misery and separateness, to unhappiness. It's a bit like saying, okay, I give you $2 million, and now you take that $2 million and you go find a homeless shelter, and you find the most down and out person you can find, and you say, I've just gotten this $2 million lump sum. I would like you to take this and manage it for me and try to turn it into more. I don't know of anybody who would do that, right? And so when we try to listen to something miserable inside of us to try to tell us how to be happy, that's a little bit insane. So we don't recognize what a gift all of these problems are and the pain that's associated with them. We don't see them as gifts. We see them as obstacles. But the way that I've come to see it is when something happens and something really gets triggered inside of me, that's a new part of me that's standing up saying, I want this to change. It's exploding up for a reason. It's exploding up to the level of consciousness because it wants to be addressed. And if I address it in the right way, not by trying to fix it and make it go away, but if I address it in the right way, I unwrap this gift, and on the other side of it is more consciousness, more happiness, more peace. So in other words, here's my true self, and then there's this false part, egoic part, that says I'm not worth it, I'm no good, that's covering up my truth. And so when something happens and this gets triggered and this becomes a strong reaction, now I can see it. I can start to deal with it. And if I attend to it by bringing love and compassion to it, then it starts to unwrap this. And at the end of it, having moved through that terrible feeling based on a lie, by the end of it, what's left is this. This pain is covering up the real me and this real presence and this real peace. And when I go through it, by not fighting it, by not trying to fix it, I surrender to it and I allow that pain to move through me. And it does. It does. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, right? It doesn't just, I sit with it for 5 minutes and it goes away, because some of these pains have been around for decades and decades and decades. And it's like a little kid. If you've got a little kid there and they're crying and you're with them and you're holding them and you're holding space for them, You don't go like this. You don't go, you done crying yet? Because how about now? How about now? You ready? That doesn't work. That's not loving compassion. That's get over it as quickly as you can so I can get back to being happy. Most people are not aware of how miserable they are. And I don't know how many people really want to hear that. But the real path to happiness is to recognizing and seeing that there are parts of us that are miserable. And it's going to be very difficult to fly and soar freely when you're carrying these heavy weights around. But your consciousness and life seems to want to bring these things up so they can be seen through and let go of so that you can fly free. And that's my wish for you, to start to set down some of these things, not by trying to pretend that they don't exist by employing toxic positivity or a spiritual bypass, but to use these emotions as they were really meant to be used, as the lead that you turn into gold in this spiritual alchemical process of turning unhappiness into happiness, of turning suffering into peace. There's such an incredible gift available here that's not part of this quick fix, let me get there right away thing, but it's this real path to being sensitive to you and what's really happening inside of you. And as you are sensitive to the pain, you also become sensitive to the true self, the God self inside of you. And that is the money. That is the only thing that's really worth anything. Forget money trying to give you happiness. The only thing that's going to give you happiness is this connection to you, to your truest, deepest self. That is coming home. That is true wealth. And that's what you want. And that sense of connectedness and peace is what you're seeking out there in the world by trying to get money so that people think you're great and they worship you. You think that's going to give you that connection, but it doesn't. It's much better to attend to that little child who feels so sad and lonely than it is to try to impress somebody. So, all right, I hope that in some way helped you along your journey, and I hope we can do this again sometime. Why don't you check out some of the other videos on here, see if they resonate with you, because that's the important thing. They need to resonate with you. Don't listen to somebody else's words. If it resonates with you, it's ringing something in you, and that something in you is what you want to listen to, not me. And then, check out our community over at enlightenedworkshops.com and see if there's anything there for you as well. But it's so great being with you here in this way. And I'd love to get to know you better, more, deeper. Wouldn't that be grand? All right, have a great one. Cheers.